Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a very raspy, but it should be hopefully a quick wrap up reviewing all the, that's really strange, a wrap up reviewing all the books that I read during October. Now, I feel like I've read 5 because I've like filming this on the 1st and I've literally just finished a book, but I've got a review going up for that, so I'm gonna leave that and talk about it another time. So I'm not going to count that in today's video. So yeah, altogether I read 4 books. 3 of them were like graphic novel sort of books and 1 of them was a novel. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about was Lighter Than My Shadow, and this is the book that I read nearer the beginning of the month. Like I finished it off nearer the beginning of the month. This was basically all of the books apart from 1, which is the physical book I'll show you in a bit, were NetGalley Read Now review books. So these were, you know, received without payment or anything like that. They're just like read for review, so all my opinions are my own and everything like that. Something really irritating my eye. Ow. I'm really sick as well, by the way, so I'm stuffy, I can't even talk, I'm stuffy and raspy, I do apologise. So as I said, the first book that I finished was Lighter Than My Shadow, and this is by Katie Green, and it's actually a biography in graphic novel form about her life growing up and the eating disorder that she suffered with as she was growing in adolescence, which is really sad, but it was really interesting to see it in such a different form, by which I mean graphic novel, and kind of seeing it illustrated to us rather than written, which I in some respect think it was more powerful in that format. I ended up giving it a 5 stars. I actually went into it because I'm pretty sure I recognised the cover from my like very long TBR, so I was really excited to get it. Like basically Read Now on NetGalley, as you can download it instantly, you don't have to wait for approval by the publishers, it's just open to anyone, so as long as you're on NetGalley, of course. So I was just excited to see that it was there, and so I clicked it and read it. I also went into this not having read many memoirs, so I was very intrigued into seeing how it would flow being in a graphic novel format, because memoirs are not something I read generally, so I didn't know would it agree with me, would it disagree with me, but it really did agree. So I've been reading a lot of triggering books of late, so this is one of them. If you do suffer from eating disorders and other triggering factors, shall we say, this is not something for you. It was a really emotional book that went deeper than I was expecting. Like a lot of stuff happened to this author, and on the surface it's advertised to you as a memoir about this illustrator, author that suffered with an eating disorder, but she just goes through so much in this book at such a young age as well, and it's very sad. I really felt like the art in this, it was quite simple, but to me it was effective in the way that it was helping to push along this really heartfelt story of ultimately survival. Like she turned into a better person because she persevered and she didn't let what happened to her bring her down. Do you know what I mean? Like she rised above it and she came out fighting, is what I'm trying to say. So that reflected really nicely in the simplicity of the art style. Like they mirrored each other really well. Like you didn't need this over embellished art style for a story, not even a story, but you know, like it's her story, so for a story such as this you didn't need that, and it said its piece perfectly, basically. So if you are interested in memoirs and lives and eating disorders and such things like that, give this a go, because it was really interesting and really insightful as well. So that was a 5 stars from me. To lighten the mood a little bit, I then went on to reading Disney's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I didn't know that Tokyo Pop had done a manga of this. This is another one as the Read Now, I've already mentioned that. So I was excited to just read it because I had wanted to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is one of my all-time favourite films. I went to watch it in October, but I didn't get around to it, and to be honest, this sort of supplemented that for me, so I can save it till Christmas now, because The Nightmare Before Christmas is definitely a Halloween and Christmas film. I'm going to save that for that. I ended up giving this a 3 stars. It's literally pretty much word for word the exact same story as the film. I think that kind of is what lessened my rating, because it didn't add anything to the story. I feel like we could have explored different characters a little bit more, perhaps had a little twist or had something different, but it was literally the same. And to an extent, I think it was like a weaker, more diluted version of the film. So yes, it did feel that fixed for me. Like I felt like, oh okay, I've had my Nightmare Before Christmas feels, I don't really need to watch the film just yet. But at the same time, it was a weaker, diluted juice of it, basically. I do have a little bit more about that on Goodreads if you do want to find out some more of the reasons why I didn't give it like a full 5 stars or anything, which is strange because obviously I love the film. Why didn't I love the manga if it's the exact same thing? But I have my reasons. The physical book that I mentioned earlier, I've also got a review coming up on, so if I do have it up, I'll link it around. If not, I'll link it around, I'm sure, eventually. But that is Garth Nix's newest book, Frog Kisser, which came out, I want to say like a couple of months ago, probably near the beginning of the year actually. And yeah, so I think it came out around March or something. So this one I'm not going to talk too much about because I've done a full review on. Did I already say that? I'm so sick, I can't remember what I just said. I'm pretty sure I just told you I've got a full review on this. So I'm going to be leaving this here. I'm not going to be saying anything more. And you can check out that review when it's available if you'd like to, of course. And moving swiftly on to the last thing that I read, which again is a graphic novel, so I can round it up all nice and lovely with a pretty little bow. And that was The Ghost of Gordy by L. Torres. By the way, the Nightmare Before Christmas was by Jun Asuka. I'm not sure if I pronounced that properly. This last book I ended up giving it 3 stars. Honestly, the title is what intrigued me. I was like, oh okay, that sounds interesting, Ghost, let's have a look. But ultimately, Gordy is an artist, like, or was an artist, and I guess because I didn't understand a lot about his movement, I'd never heard of him before, it just didn't, it kind of was anticlimactic for me. I think it would be better appreciated for somebody that has an interest in art forms, and Gordy, is that even how you pronounce it? I don't know. Gordy himself, they'd probably get a lot more out of this than it was. But basically it's like a fictionalized detective murder case featuring this artist, or the ghost of, shall we say. The story itself I did find interesting, but I found it a bit difficult to understand some of the words that were used. I will say though, I was impressed to see, like at the end they had like a little section where like the artist and the author was telling, basically they were saying how much effort they put into the research and everything, and that was really impressive. And I always find it so nice when they go to lengths to explain to you, oh, this is what we did, this is how we got this information, this is what we did, because it shows that they're obviously caring, they're putting effort and love into their work. And even though I can't fully appreciate this because I don't really have an interest in the artist or the art movement or anything, I think it's going to really reflect on someone that knows that sort of industry, and they'd enjoy it a lot more than me. But you know, in saying that, I enjoyed it for what it was interesting. The detective story around the whole thing was very interesting and I did enjoy it, but it's not something that's going to stay with me for a long time, and it's not something that I'd ever reread, unfortunately. So before my voice completely gives out on me, I am going to go. That was my reviews for October. Let me know what you read during the month, and I will speak to you in another video soon. Bye.